Okay, so this is going to be the last boss in normal Highlands, the Imperator. He has four basic abilities that he does, and then one of them is specially for the tanks. So the first ability that he does is that he's going to spawn a bomb onto the raid. So whoever gets targeted with it just needs to move out, and then everyone needs to be careful and not step into it. It'll despawn after a while. And then he's also going to summon an ad, which does damage as long as the ad is alive. So DPS needs to focus it immediately. The tank is going to get marked, and that tank needs to move away from the raid because when the debuff falls off, he explodes for AoE damage. He's going to do a Force Nova, which is unavoidable damage, but you can pop a cooldown and whatever. First phase doesn't last very long. Transition to second phase is direct. There's no transition phase between phase 1 and phase 2. So in phase 2, his abilities get buffed slightly. So the first thing is that his arcane wrath ability is going to put a circle on the person affected by it, and if they move out of this 10-yard circle, they're going to get teleported. So if that person is near a mine, they might get teleported onto a mine and detonate it for raid-wide damage. For this phase, when the ad dies, it's going to knock back everyone, so don't be standing in front of a bomb. The Force Nova is going to push you back, so you need to run through it. Otherwise, you're just going to continuously take damage. The bombs get larger and larger in size after a while, but you should just avoid those. The Arcane Wrath displacement is just going to put a circle on the person and they'll get teleported. So watch out for that and just don't move outside the circle. Everyone else should try and move as far away from them as possible. The Mark of Chaos on the tank is going to randomly teleport the tank to a person or location, and that tank needs to move away from the raid, or the raid needs to move away from the tank. And then the Force Nova is going to push the raid back, so you need to run through it. The boss also has a ability where he does increasing damage to the tank. The stacks will stack. So if the stacks get too high, the other tank needs to take over. He has this ability in all phases. And then the big ad is going to knock everyone back when it dies. So don't stand in front of a bomb. The bombs grow in size over time. The Arcane Wrath is going to put a circle around you. So if you move out of it, you'll get teleported and back into the circle on the other side. So if you're near a bomb and that happens, you'll probably set the bomb off. And then phase 2 will start at 55%. Or sorry, the transition phase before phase 2. So for the transition phase before phase 2, you're going to have 2 Gorian War Mages that spawn, and then a bunch of little ads that spawn. The War Mages need to be focused down first, one by one. They'll just randomly cast onto a random raid member. They don't need to be tanked. They have one ability where they could fixate on a random raid member, and when that raid member takes damage, they're gonna do AoE damage to whoever's near them. So if you get fixated, move away from the raid. Otherwise, you can just try and interrupt their casts, but you won't be able to get them all. You'll just have to take most of the damage, but just kill them off as soon as possible. They don't need to be tanked, so the tanks should focus on picking up the little ads that spawn. One tank can probably pick them all up and just wait for the boss to go active again. The little ads aren't very special. They don't really do anything until they die. when they die, they do raid-wide damage. So you want to stagger the kills onto them. Give the healers enough time to heal the raid. Don't blow them up all at the same time. The transition phase will last 1 minute. So if the ads aren't dead, they'll still be around and you still need to deal with them. Kill the little ads left over from the transition phase one by one. And then in the third phase, the Arcane Wrath, the one where he puts a orb on you, you need to run away from the raid after about 6 or 7 stacks. Because the range starts at 200 yards and it only decreases by 25% each time, instead of 50% as in the other phases. The mines on the ground, they last longer. They last 2 minutes, up from 1 minute, but you should be avoiding them anyway, so that's not really a big deal. The arcane pulses, they pulse out 3 now, each 8 seconds apart instead of just 1. They don't push you back anymore, so you don't need to run through them. And the damage you can mitigate by using personal cooldowns or whatever. And then the ad that he summons, they have more HP now, and they also do raid-wide damage while they're alive. So you really need to focus on getting those down as soon as possible. Otherwise, the healers are not going to be able to keep up. So this phase will last until the boss gets to 25%. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that in this phase, when he casts Mark of Chaos, it's gonna root the tank in place. So the raid needs to move away from the tank, and the other tank needs to pick him up on the other side of the room. Because when the Mark of Chaos debuff expires, the tank blows up for massive AoE damage. So basically, throughout this fight, the 4 abilities are mainly the same. They just get changed slightly in each of the different phases. For normal mode, you can just spread out or do whichever you like. The damage is manageable, but in heroic mode, it's going to be an entirely different strategy. The group will need to be more synchronized with each other. So when the boss gets to 25%, it's going to be the same transition phase as before, but there's going to be another ad that spawns that you'll have to deal with. So when you get this destructive resonance, which is the orb pulsing thing that jumps between players, you'll need to run out of the raid, but realistically, you'll need to get it up to about at least 5 or 6 stacks before you can get it out of the raid, because the range it begins with is really high. So at 25%, the transition phase, it's going to be 2 big Gorian war mages, again, that have the same abilities as before. It's going to be a bunch of the little ads that have the same abilities as before, and then you're also going to have this big Gorian Reaver. The Gorian Reaver needs to be picked up by 1 tank, and then the other tank should pick up the little ads. The war mages don't need to be tanked. The Reaver should be focused down first. It has one ability to watch out for. It's called Kick to the Face, which knocks back the tank and resets the threat table. So the tank needs to be prepared with a taunt. After the Reaver is dead, the raid should focus onto the war mages. The war mages have the same ability where they fixate on a player, and that player needs to move out of the raid. And then they also just continuously cast their Nether Blast. The 7 small ads, they don't really do much. They just need to be picked up. And then when they die, they explode for raid damage. So you want to stagger their deaths. The boss will become active again after 1 minute. So any ads that are not dead will remain. And you'll have to deal with them. So in this last phase, the boss's 4 abilities get changed. So for the mine will spawn 2 when it gets set off or when it expires. For the arcane wrath, when the thing jumps, it'll jump to 2 players instead of 1. But it doesn't multiply. It's always going to be 2 players that have it, I think. So one person will get it initially, and then it's going to jump to 2, and then it's going to jump to 2. So it's not going to be 4 people afterwards. The Force Nova is going to be different, as in when you're running through it, you're going to be dealing AoE damage, so anyone nearby is going to take damage. So you want to spread out when you run through the Force Nova, and you also want to stagger when you run through it. When the tank gets the Mark of Chaos, the tank is going to do the same thing, needs to run away from the raid. When the damage Nova bursts out, it's also going to summon a bunch of orbs that pulse through the ground. And the raid just needs to avoid those orbs. When the ad gets killed, it's gonna split up into a bunch of little ads. Those little ads don't really have any special abilities, they just need to be tanked and picked up and killed. So basically in this final phase, you're gonna need to spread out because there's a bunch of abilities that pulse AoE damage. Well, actually, I guess it's just the Force Nova that pulses AoE damage. But you need to watch out for mines. You need to watch out for the orbs that come out from the tank when the Mark of Chaos expires. And then if you get the Arcane Wrath, the one where you get branded, where you get the orb on you that jumps to other people, run out of the raid. But only after like 4 or 5 stacks, because the range it starts with is about 200 yards. And then this is where the orb spawns from the Mark of Chaos on the tank. So the 4 phases are kind of similar, but each successive phase, his abilities get modified. And then, of course, the tanks still need to watch out for the stacking debuff that causes them to take more damage from the boss. Just be prepared to taunt when the stacks get too high, and then when the stacks reset, can taunt again. Okay, so now you're ready to do heroics.